Sylvia was a beautiful, ambitious girl who was used to getting what she wanted, but she had never built anything with her own hands. She had grown up in a humble family but had always hated the sense of renunciation that permeated her childhood. No vacations, no expensive gifts, only necessities. One day, while she was watching a classmate get into a car with a driver, she swore to herself that one day she too would have it all. And no matter what the cost, she would succeed at all costs. So, as an adult, Sylvia came up with her own plan. She wouldn't work hard like her parents, no. She would simply find a rich man, and she would win him over, period. It was at a charity gala that she saw Paolo for the first time. It wasn't the kind of event she could afford to attend, but a friend who worked as a hostess had gotten her an extra invitation. Sylvia wasted no time, dressed in the most elegant dress she owned, put on her makeup carefully, and showed up with her confident and refined air. Before continuing, subscribe to our channel and activate the bell so you don't miss any of our stories. Paolo, on the other hand, was there for different reasons. He had sponsored the event with his company, a tech startup that had grown surprisingly fast in recent years. He was wearing a dark gray suit that seemed too stiff for his awkward way of moving. He wasn't handsome nor brilliant in his manners, but he had a kind and sincere look. And above all, he was very wealthy. Sylvia noticed him right away, not because he stood out, on the contrary. He was one of those men who go unnoticed among vain entrepreneurs and brilliant influencers. But he had something that the others lacked, a certain solitude stamped in his eyes. She approached him during the aperitif, pretending not to know who he was. "Did you come alone too?" she asked lightly, while pouring herself some Prosecco. Paolo laughed, surprised, and nodded. "They practically forced me to participate," he replied, scratching his neck. "I actually hate these evenings," she laughed back. "Me too, but at least the wine is good, right?" That was how they started talking. Sylvia showed off all her art-studied smiles, eyes that shone at the right moment, questions that made Paolo feel important, and he, unaware, let himself be won over. Within 2 weeks, he had asked her out to dinner. Within a month, he had opened his heart to her, and within 3, he had given her access to his trust and one of his company cards. For small expenses, he had told her, smiling. Sylvia had nodded shyly, thanking him with a kiss on the cheek, but inside she was already imagining boutiques, spas, and luxury dinners. One day, he invited Julia, her lifelong friend, to a refined restaurant. As soon as they entered, Julia whispered, "Sylvia, everything here costs a fortune. Let's get something simple." But Sylvia laughed. "Don't worry, today it's Paolo's." She nonchalantly took out the black card and placed it on the table. "I have one of his. He doesn't even notice how much I spend." Julia hesitated. "But are you sure it's fair?" "Fair?" Sylvia replied with a contemptuous smile. "I make him believe he's loved. He showers me with gifts. It seems like a fair deal." That evening, they ordered fine wine, expensive dishes, and desserts signed by starred chefs. Sylvia seemed radiant. It wasn't so much the food or the luxury, but the feeling of power that made her feel alive. And from then on, it was an escalation. Taxis taken just to go for a ride without a destination, so I can relax while looking at the city. Beauty salons and wellness treatments that she booked with a simple click, crazy purchases, entire days dedicated to shopping. Every now and then she sent Paolo a few smiling selfies with sappy phrases, but as soon as he suggested meeting up, Sylvia would make up an excuse. My mother is not well. I have a cold. I have a conference. He believed her, at least up to a certain point, because even the most naive man has a limit. Paolo began to notice inconsistencies, suspicious receipts, restaurants he had never been to, taxis at all hours, inexplicable withdrawals. But it was one detail that made him open his eyes: a message from Sylvia with the wrong recipient. "Shall we go to the spa today too?" sent to him by mistake. There were no sick grandmothers nor conferences. It was then that he understood, and he decided it was time to give Sylvia back what she deserved. He patiently organized everything. He made her believe that he had a surprise in store for her, an exclusive vacation in a dream location. I booked a week in a luxury resort for the two of us. First class, suite, spa center, everything included. Sylvia shone with enthusiasm. But, Paolo added with a regretful tone, "An unexpected commitment forces me to stay. Do you want to go with a friend? It would be a shame to waste the reservation." Sylvia didn't hesitate for a second. "Of course, I'm going with Julia." She took her most beautiful clothes, packed a suitcase fit for a princess, and even booked a car service to the airport. Paolo gave her all the instructions: plane ticket, hotel address, transfer contact. But when Sylvia and Julia arrived at their destination, the impact was devastating. The hotel was anything but luxurious: a decaying building, dirty rooms, rude staff. The lobby smelled of mold, and the beds looked like they were stolen from an old hospital. Julia, as soon as she crossed the threshold, said, "Sylvia, are you sure this is the place?" Sylvia grabbed the phone, furious. She called Paolo. He answered in a calm tone. "Is everything okay, love? Are you here?" "Paolo, what is this place? You told me about a resort, but here it's a nightmare." There was a moment of silence. Then Paolo's voice became cold as ice. "Really? I'm sorry you're not up to par, but you see, I thought that a woman like you, who uses other people's cards to have dinner and go shopping, who lies every day to avoid being with the person who loves her, maybe she deserves more realistic treatment." Sylvia fell silent. "And while we're at it," Paolo continued, "I hope you enjoyed your last taxi ride and your last glass of fine wine. The card you were using, it's blocked, and I've already informed the bank of everything. The account, it's closed." Sylvia felt her breath catch. "Oh," he added in a harsh voice, "about that vacation. Well, it's all in your name. Have fun paying for it." And he hung up. Sylvia stood there in the dingy hall, surrounded by suitcases that now seemed ridiculous. She looked at Julia, who was staring at her with eyes full of bitterness and disappointment. She didn't say anything. Everything was already there in the silence. For the first time in her life, Sylvia had no escape. She had built sandcastles on lies, illusions, and opportunism. And now everything had dissolved, leaving her alone in front of her truth. She had lost a man who loved her, a friend who had always warned her, and above all, she had lost herself. Did you like this story? Leave a comment below. Thanks for watching the video till the end, and see you next story.